Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. How dare you? That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude. We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media structure and the propaganda. I'm right on the polling. I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind. That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring. Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh boy, my favorite show. You're boring. I just got out the shower. I was washing my favorite show. You hear that? Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. Okay, I need some free content. Yes, I'm probably gonna do a live watch party of the Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk, Vosh debate. Tim Pool's hosting it with Charlie Kirk and Vosh going 1v1. I think it's actually a pretty decent deal. Charlie Kirk has real political, like he's in the game. He's you know, he was going to be a part of he was going to be in the 1776 commission for Trump. But everybody uses it for content, so why can't I? The first time around, Xander Hall used it, the Serfs used it. Why can't I use it for content, all right? I used it too. So I'm going to use the new one as well. How dare you? How dare you? My neck hurts. I gotta go put my nose spray in. That is so fun. Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude. We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media structure and the propaganda. I'm right on the polling. I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind. That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring. Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking. How's everybody doing tonight on this beautiful northern PA American summer day? Breaking Points with Crystal and Sagar. Whoa, what a good show. Here, how about this real quick? Bernie called
There's
out
a
the
miner
media.
strike going on right now. Something like 1,100 miners down in Alabama have been going on for 4 months. They are picketing in front of BlackRock in Manhattan right now as we're talking. And at least as of last week, there
Tired
hasn't been
and
a
stressed.
single cable news segment on this 4-month-long strike, first of its kind in 40 years. What sort of, I mean, what's going on with that? Why do they ignore these incredibly significant?
They don't. Look, I don't want
stories?
to overly generalize here.
Yeah.
There are great reporters who work really, really hard, and every now and then you really see outstanding investigative reporting.
Sure.
You doing all right?
But in general, I
What's
would
up,
say
chicken fried rice?
that for corporate media in general, there is not a lot of respect or connection with working class people. Those issues that impact people, get their hands dirty, are not terribly high priorities for a lot of the corporate media. I mean, again, I would point back to here we are working on a piece of legislation which is transformative for working families. Very, very little interest, but the process is what is interesting. Gossip is very interesting, but here you have strikers who are taking on Wall Street and getting very little coverage, it does not surprise me.
Yeah. It also doesn't fit into a political horse race
Right.
kind of narrative, which I think is kind of their comfort zone in terms of covering
And
these
class
personalities.
issues.
When it comes to the media not covering strikes and everything, it doesn't make for good news. And of course, they probably don't want to cover it. I know people like Big D, Dasani Water. He'll probably say like, it's all a conspiracy theory that the big corporations don't want to talk about union organization. Like, dude, it's not a conspiracy. It's literal, like, it's their propaganda machine. They do play a big role in this. All right, there's one about Brianna Joy Gray. I can reiterate the exact same arguments over and over again and say the exact same thing as before. Where is it? This one. These are always fun. Oh, I got a message. 1 second. What do I think is going to happen with the eviction moratorium ending? I saw Nancy Pelosi blamed the CDC. Didn't the Supreme Court rule that the executive branch can't extend it anymore? So like Biden can't extend it, but they'd have to pass something in order to extend it. And I guess the argument from like AOC and the progressives in the House, their argument is that Nancy Pelosi should be passing something through the House right now to show they support extending the eviction moratorium. The SCOTUS did rule that the executive cannot keep on extending it, and July 31st is when it ran out. So at this point, Biden cannot do an executive order. So people yelling at him weren't making much sense, unless if they were saying Biden should have been more vocal about it, which sure, that could be a criticism. But it wouldn't get through the Senate if the House did do something, right? I'm trying to think. People not going back to work and the eviction moratorium, they kind of have somewhat of a consistent value there. I think that might be more to blame than laziness. People don't want to work shit jobs and they aren't being forced to because they weren't going to get kicked out, but now they're going to get kicked out. So the idea is that they all think, all the neoliberals and stuff and conservatives, if people are going to get evicted, they're going to take the shitty jobs instead of like evading them more so. I don't know if that'd be true. I know there are some state resources in certain states that people can fall back on. Yeah, but I haven't looked into the deep policy enough to really say something exact on what they need to do now, other than what we know about the Supreme Court decision. Okay. All right. Brianna Joy Gray, dishes on where Bernie went wrong. So I'm going to be repeating a lot of arguments here. I'm going to explain how politics works because the people in this video are going to give you a really bad picture. They're going to give you a cartoonish reality, which is not reality. Play, please.
Of electability, and he didn't push back on that.
I agree.
No, I already played it earlier. No. I have to redo the intro now. Okay. My mouth is dry. I need water. After this, I need to fight through it. Brianna Joy Gray, dishes on where Bernie went wrong. So I'm going to repeat a lot of arguments during this segment, I guess. The people in this video are going to give a really cartoonish picture of how politics works, and I'm going to correct it.
2016 felt like a very different race because there was not that same hesitancy about talking about corruption.
Because he didn't like Hillary, because Bernie didn't like Hillary. So, yeah, but this does get into the bigger questions about Bernie's campaign. I remember when Zephyr Teachow wrote an article, and the article was like, look, this is just the facts. Joe Biden's corrupt. Here it is laid out.
Okay, so the first thing they said, Bernie's campaign style changed from 2016 to 2020. So in 2016, Hillary Clinton was one of the least popular presidential candidates of all time. Like, nobody liked Hillary Clinton. A very small minority of the Democratic Party liked Hillary Clinton, like actually liked her. Bernie Sanders was able to attack her because people did not like her. And it was a small field too. If Hillary lost support, all votes would go to Bernie. if people didn't vote for her. So it's a totally different ballgame from 2020. So in 2020, you have 20 candidates. Even at the end, you have 4, 5, 6 candidates. If Bernie Sanders went really negative against Joe Biden, and Kyle Kulinski himself made a segment about this, every time Bernie Sanders went negative on Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders' numbers went down because he seemed like a angry old crazy grandpa because Joe Biden was popular. The more Bernie Sanders was like, my good friend Joe Biden, we have some disagreements. I know all the populist lefties hate that, but Bernie's numbers looked better when he did that. And also, when Biden lost votes, let's say Bernie's attacks did work. Biden's votes did not go directly to Bernie when he lost support. Hillary's votes would go to Bernie when there's only 2 candidates. But in this race, with Warren, with Buttigieg, with Bloomberg, a lot of Biden's votes, if he lost votes, went to those other candidates. So these 2 elections are a totally different ballgame for really simple reasons, but they're drawing up this like conspiracy or whatever, like Bernie Sanders was co-opted or something like that.
Out for you, and Bernie behind the scenes was mad at Zephyr Teachout for that. And
First of all, that's accurate, right? That he was upset about it.
Yeah, well,
he was publicly mad about it. It wasn't even just private.
Yeah, that's true.
And Zephyr Teachout, she is a legal professional, I think, or something like that from New York, I want to say. And she wrote an article that was really aggressive versus another candidate. And Bernie Sanders didn't like the way that made his brand look.
When that happened, I actually was doing a hit on MSNBC, like at the time the article came out, and was asked about it. And so from my perspective, I got a call immediately from the comms director, like apologizing, and he was obviously very upset. And, I think the reality is that article was approved. She didn't step out of line. That article was approved by the comms department.
Right.
And I think that she was kind of unfairly thrown under the bus for it. She wasn't stepping out of line.
She wasn't freelancing.
And so I think...
So the comms department said this letter that Teachout wrote, that Zephyr Teachout, I think that's how you say her name, I'm not sure. But they approved it. The comms department of Bernie's campaign approved it, but that doesn't mean Bernie approved it. I mean, he might still be mad about the decision they made.
Internal miscommunications ended up falling on her quite unfairly.
She was the
other
scapegoat.
People who were also involved in the process unfairly took that hit. But more substantively, I think she was right. And that was exactly the kind of messaging that I think would have given Bernie a much better chance to win.
So it's that, correct? I agree with you.
I believed this at the time, but the voter base simply wasn't there. All of the revolutionary, working class, socialist type people were already supporting Bernie Sanders. Maybe a couple were supporting Elizabeth Warren. None of those people were going to respond. None of the people voting for Joe Biden were going to respond to extremely negative messaging because, like I said, Joe Biden is popular. Joe Biden has a track record. He has a relationship with Democratic voters. He was Barack Obama's vice president. Bernie Sanders stayed away from Obama. He tried using Obama at the very end in advertisements in Florida, if you remember. That fell flat because he did it too late. Showing you have relations with popular politicians within your own party tends to help you, which is why political connections matter, even if you're anti-establishment or whatever. And everything Bernie's getting done now with this infrastructure bill that he's trying to pound through is a result of him playing smart in politics, him not being a populist outsider or whatever. He's getting in the thick of things and getting real work done. But the idea that Bernie Sanders could have went on the stage and just pointed a finger at Joe Biden and said, "You're a corrupt war criminal a-hole, and you shouldn't even be close to being president. You should be in jail. You are a corrupt. You are literally the devil." If Bernie Sanders says that about Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi even, and Nancy Pelosi isn't liked nearly as much as Joe Biden, but in a Democratic primary, all that matters is Democratic voters. Democratic voters do like Nancy Pelosi. They love Joe Biden. So that's why things play in a really weird way. The 3 people on screen have an inability to look at politics in a way that evaluates their surroundings and in a way that can understand other people's mind states. And I had to grow this. I had to mature into this position where I'm able to do this to some extent. They're only looking at what appeals to them. What appeals to me, what appeals to you as a voter isn't going to appeal to the majority of the Democratic Party. So when you see candidates talking mostly about gun control and identity politics, they are doing that because that is where the voters are in Democratic primaries. That's who they're trying to get. What they're talking about here isn't based in reality. It wouldn't have worked if Bernie Sanders was some type of like mini revolutionary.
Also, the other giant failure, and I think the numbers really bear this out, is that he didn't make the case We just ran this experiment in 2016. You guys said the centrist was more electable. She was not more electable. She lost. Joe is exactly like Hillary ideologically.
Hillary 2.0.
I am the most electable. Only I, Bernie Sanders, can beat Donald Trump.
I think Bernie could have used that route a little bit more. Would it have worked? Maybe he could have convinced people that we needed more of a push towards excitement and energy and young people. But even within his own race, he couldn't really bring young people out to vote. Even with the biggest outreach program in American history geared towards young people, I don't know how much that argument would have worked. Did it play out in practice even? I don't think so. The reason Joe Biden won in the swing states in which he won is because of suburban voter switching. Like in Pennsylvania, even in Georgia, the suburbs around Atlanta switched big time to Biden. Those were the big swing counties or whatever in these states. It wasn't like some big populist push to get these people elected. A lot of these suburban voters would not have voted for Bernie Sanders. It's complicated. It doesn't make sense to us, but that's how voters respond to this. There is no urgency for a revolutionary class takeover of unions in the Democratic Party. You have to do this in a very smart and precise way that gets people on your side in a very good faith manner. You can't call 90% of Democratic voters idiots and then have them support your policies. And I don't think these guys understand this.
Now, we know in retrospect that's not true. Biden did end up beating Donald Trump. But at the time, that's the argument you had to make in order to move the poll.
Pandemic and like mass mismanagement.
Because all the polls showed, on the actual issues, everybody was with Bernie. It was overwhelming. But the one area...
What's my big thing that I bring up? My big thing about politics? People don't vote off issues. They vote off what their brain tells them. That's why retrospective voting is a thing. That's why emotional voting is a thing. That's why shiny object politics is a thing. People respond to irrational indicators on why they vote certain ways, or, for why they vote certain ways.
Where Biden was absolutely obliterating Bernie was this issue of electability, and he didn't push back on that.
I'd agree.
And by the way, I know people yell at me when I say most voters don't vote rationally. I guess you can make some rational arguments for like Biden. For example, in Georgia, if you don't have healthcare, what is more realistic to get you healthcare? A public option passing through like a Biden admin, or expanded Medicaid or something else through reinforcing Obamacare? What's more likely, that or Medicare for all, a complete overhaul of our healthcare system? Yeah, like you don't know if Bernie Sanders settles for a public option or anything. We're not getting that now, of course. We're not getting that. But at that time when you're voting, which one seems more realistic to actually get you healthcare? Which one has been more realistic in the past the past to get you healthcare? The moderate route has paid dividends, and people haven't really seen the more radical wing take over. That's why you need to build a full movement. You can't just attack with 4 people in the House called the Squad of a bunch of freshman congresswomen. You can't do that. You need to make voters have confidence that progressives can get stuff done, and that's part of what Bernie's current goal is. A lot of Democratic voters look at progressives as like edgy, cringy outsiders that are like children who have they have a good spirit, but they don't really know what they're doing. We need to flip that script and say progressives can be leaders. We can be adults in real government. We can do big boy stuff. I think Katie Porter's a good example of that. Like Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, AOC is turning into that.
I also think that the campaign at some point started trying to reach discrete demographic groups that they felt
Yep, go Sixers. Is this Embiid? Yeah, this is Embiid. Ben Simmons, I hope he is traded to a different team. I'm mad at Ben Simmons. And I mean, the team cohesion will not work if they keep him.
I'd agree. I also think that the campaign at some point started trying to reach discrete demographic groups that they felt like they had to win on the basis of appealing to what they thought that those demographic groups wanted, as opposed to realizing that, Black Americans' number one concern was electability also. And that instead of trying hard to pitch this ad using some South Carolina elected woman, that stuff is fine. But really, they just want to know that you can beat Trump.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Talk a little bit more. You called it the Black misleadership.
But having friends like what's his name? The guy who is the top recipient of like big pharma money, Clyburn. He oh my god, dude, he got so much money from big pharma. But Clyburn, having those local ties, being friends with him pays so many dividends because voters around there trusted Clyburn to make a good decision on their behalf. Like, we trust this guy to deliver a candidate that can beat Donald Trump or whatever. So when he endorsed Biden, that gave him a big rocket boost at that time.
Misleadership class.
Yeah.
What do you see as like the roots of that dynamic?
What's interesting is one of our guests, Pascal Robert, made the case that there is a
Yeah, I'm from rural. I am from rural.
there are relationship
Rural.
dynamics that involve having roots in Black fraternities
Rural.
and sororities, having a real solid presence at HBCUs, having the phone number of local pastors.
If Bernie Sanders would have gotten every HBCU vote, I'm pretty sure he still would have lost. The pastors thing is a good point. I think they tried that though. Bernie's campaign wasn't exactly centered around any religion or anything like that. It was secular ideology and vast progressivism and a class movement.
the tip of your finger, and that those kinds of relationships are not going to be built in a campaign cycle,
Right.
but they're really formative to being able to get the kind of grassroots support in the community that someone like Biden is able to lock down seemingly through osmosis.
Yeah.
And Matt, I think historically, my own kind of take, I guess, would be that historically, identity has been a fairly decent proxy for Black interests in America, if only because the bar was so low in terms of what we were actually advocating for. There was so far.
Ooh, a point we always need to bring up. We should always bring up this point in these discussions. The working class. I know a lot of people want to bring up working class as if Bernie Sanders had the entire working class on his side. But if you look at the working class numbers, when it comes to the Black working class, which a lot of progressives forget to bring up, the Black working class supported Joe Biden by a big majority compared to Bernie Sanders. I think Joe Biden got like 60% of the Black working class. So we often ignore that. Why did so many Black people vote for Joe Biden? For many reasons, of course. Bernie Sanders is far left. A lot of Black people are not far left. By default, they kind of vote Democratic because, Republicans are Republicans. If this was a different country, you would see a distribution. It still wouldn't be Black people voting for the far-right party, most likely, for multiple reasons, of course. But, just because you're Black doesn't mean you're like a big lefty or whatever. I mean, the opposite's true for certain groups, for certain communities. So, like, it's really weird how Brianna Joy Gray always generalizes and looks over what I just brought up. Spencer, what's up? My guy, hello, thank you. So many times Spencer has been here. Every single stream. Reppin'.
For us to go in terms of what we were making, what the kind of political demands we were making. So, especially through the 50s and 60s, you had genuinely committed.
AS, me too. 100% that's what I did. I was like, they screwed over Bernie again. I'm not voting Biden. I might even vote for Trump. I'm going to show those corrupt people. I'll show those corrupt people what's really up, baby. I'll vote Trump. Dude, I literally said all of that when Bernie Sanders backed out of the primary.
Who were making wins, who were winning real gains for the we were making. So, especially through the 50s and 60s, you had genuinely committed activists who were making wins, who were winning real gains for the community. And a lot of those.
Oh my God! If you saw the South Carolina push Bernie made, it was impressive, but it didn't work at all. It just didn't work. Everything she's talking about was done in South Carolina. It just didn't work. If we want to do like a retrospective of where Bernie Sanders' campaign went wrong. Do you think Liburn's influence is as effective? Not as effective, but when you have a culmination of a bunch of like more center Democratic politicians crashing in on one race, I think that outside influence does definitely matter, especially with all the money and attention it brings to that candidate that they're supporting. So like Chantel Brown or whatever against Nina Turner? I think that's her name. I don't know much about her. I just know I looked over like where she got money from, how she got it, who endorsed her. Hillary came out really heavily, which by the way, Hillary Clinton, I saw her post something about like getting vaccinated, like encouraging people to get vaccinated. And Hillary Clinton saying that is an act of harm to our goal of getting people vaccinated. Nobody who likes Hillary Clinton is not vaccinated. Trust me. There might be like a 0.0001% of Hillary Clinton supporters that is not vaccinated, but her saying that is 100% a bad thing. She should, if anything, Hillary should be like, all right, guys, don't get vaccinated. Then more people will do it. That's how much Hillary Clinton is disliked. She shouldn't be talking about anything that is important. Just give her opinions on the sideline about why she sucks and get out of the picture, Hillary, please.
People who came into office at that point are still the people who were with Like we're still dealing with people whose claim to fame is, being there at Edmund Pettus Bridge or, having, got the Dickens kicked out of them in some civil rights context. So, there's a reason that trust is there. And I think it's, especially for the white left, not necessarily wise to make direct attacks without being able to acknowledge the service that some of those folks have done.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, when someone becomes as corrosive a presence as Jim Clyburn has become, you have to be willing
I'm mad that Bernie lost. Fascism it is. Let's ignore the 5 million better things that are happening now under Biden. Nina seems to have more attention. I think Nina, she has done major work. She has put the work in 100%. I don't know enough about the district. I saw the poll numbers crashing in, which is expected. Don't be super scared about poll numbers crashing in. That is expected. Whenever you get closer to a race, you get a more realistic picture of polling. It's always more accurate as you get closer to the actual day. But she put the work in for that area. I don't know if she has enough firepower behind her. Like I said in my other video about Nina Turner, when you go on record saying you hate all of your party's leaders, it's hard. A lot of people are partisan, and that includes in primaries. If you don't walk the party line and be authoritarian or like anti-establishment at the same time, there is a fine line you can walk that like Bernie was good at walking, that AOC is good at walking. But if you go fully like Joe Biden is a half bowl of poopy or something, voters are going to remember that, dude.
Bring the heat, and I think that's where it's really important to have surrogates who can deliver a message, to find people who similarly have investment at the community. Like, Jesse Jackson endorsed Bernie Sanders, but it was very, very late in the game. And I can imagine a world where he came out swinging early and offered a real visible counterpoint to the narrative that, look at all these black figureheads that love Biden. Biden must be the guy. We know Joe, all of this stuff. Like Jesse Jackson going on TV after Clyburn says we know Joe, saying, I know Joe, and what I know isn't great.
Yeah,
Let me run down the list.
Right.
Jesse Jackson's a little bit of a dicey figure in the black community as well. So, but it would have helped. Someone like
Harry Belafonte.
Harry Belafonte.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah, Harry Belafonte.
A little bit of a dicey fig. Okay, a little bit. There's a lot there, Brianna Joy Gray. If Jesse Jackson would have came out 10 years ago supporting Bernie Sanders, nothing really would have shifted that much. Just because he's black doesn't mean he appeals to all black voters. Like, dude. Not everybody's into socialism. I'm sorry. It takes time to convince people to come to your side on issues. It's not just going to happen 1, 2, 3, babe. Like, sorry, man. Sorry. I mean, gal. I hate that, dude. When I say like dude or man or what's up, guys, I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, what am I supposed to say? I don't want to be like, hey, what's up, guys and girls and gals. I feel like that's even more sexist than just saying guy. I don't know. I don't know.
Here that
He's a legend,
was
that
just not doing.
Right.
He was just
Guys
alien,
is
and that's what
universal,
made him come out.
isn't it?
But there have to be more than just like this handful of people that you can deploy in this way. Also, outside of that context, Bernie had more great surrogates than anybody in America.
Yeah.
I think
What are the
Ariana
odds she
Grande, I
wins?
think, is the number one, has more Twitter followers and not Twitter, Instagram followers than almost anybody in America, in the world.
Mhm.
Maybe I think that's the case.
I'd believe that.
Like Cardi B. I mean, you have these people who could be posting once a week. Bernie Sanders is going to campaign.
Yes, Cardi B. Yes, she is black. Therefore, all the black voters shall listen to Cardi B. Just like when Kanye. Oh my goodness. When I saw Lil Wayne and 50 Cent go out for Trump, and then I saw tweets from like old white people saying, well, there goes the black vote because 50 Cent and like Kanye and Lil Wayne said they're voting Trump. Oh my God. That's the energy I'm getting right now. Holy crap, dude. If Cardi B would have only tweeted more, Bernie Sanders would be president. Yes.
Your student debt. Are you registered yet?
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders
He
Bernie
did win that
Sanders would be
demographic, though,
president.
overwhelmingly. You know what I mean? Like the young
They didn't turn out
demographic.
enough.
Yes.
They didn't turn out enough. That's
Right.
true.
Yes.
But also, you could argue he
Echo.
should have been able to reach other demographics that he didn't reach.
I'd
you know?
agree. And
Yeah.
to ask those people to talk to their parents more, because that was part of the story of the Latino vote, right? Part of
Right.
the story of the Latino vote is that historically older Latino voters tend to rely on guidance from their kids more because of language barrier issues and cultural factors and things like that. So you
50
have
Cent was thinking my money matters more than my being a black man in America, because many of my issues that I faced by being black, I don't have to confront as much because I am now rich. I'm pretty sure he complained about taxes going up, although under Biden, his taxes barely go up because none of the people who are voting Trump based on taxes understand how tax brackets work. They assume like, oh, the top bracket's 40%. That means I'm going to be paying, or it's not even, it's going to be what, 25 or 28? The top bracket's 25%. That means I have to pay a quarter of my money in income taxes. That's not how it works, man.
young Latino voters liking Bernie
Okay,
going home.
I will look up the Nina Turner numbers real quick. The Nina Turner polling numbers.
Culture factors and things like that. So you have young Latino voters liking Bernie, going home, explaining it, and then having wonderful wins like we had in Nevada. Or less heralded, but I think equally important, the overwhelming response we got from non-white voters in Iowa. It's only 2% non-white,
Yes.
but like 99% of them
Yes.
voted for Bernie. And
Yes.
that was awesome. And that was the consequence of a lot of real grassroots
And the
organizing.
DNC and Pete Buttigieg came in and be like, we're not going to count those ones. How about we just not count these satellite caucuses with all the immigrant voters who voted overwhelmingly for Bernie? That was
What a great
amazing.
moment.
Did they do that? They're not going to count certain satellite caucuses? Did that happen? Did I miss it? By the way, one thing to look at with money in politics, especially with focused races. So let's say Nina Turner is campaigning in an area for a year, and she raises $1 million. We'll use that for good proportions. So she raises $1 million in total advertising money and does what she could with that money. Does what she can with that money, connects to as many people on the ground as she can. She's gonna reach a lot of people who are like activist types who are very involved in like politics. But she isn't gonna hit that many people who are like really loyalist, partisan Democratic voters who usually follow like party leaders. So I know some people want to dismiss the impact of money in politics, but if Nina throws in her $1 million raised by small dollar donations across the country, then you have Clinton, Clyburn, and a bunch of other party leaders come in to endorse her opponent, and you have $100 million come in of advertisements that are very negative, and then on those advertisements, they're showing a bunch of strong Democratic voters that Nina Turner called Joe Biden a piece of poopy before he beat Trump, before Joe Biden beat Trump. Nina Turner did not offer good enough support for Joe Biden. After that happens, a lot of the negative advertising overcomes the positive advertising that Nina did to start off with, the positive campaigning. Voters, and this is a political science fact, the reason people use negative campaigning so much in campaigns is because it works. People respond to negative emotions. One of the most successful Trump campaigns was the defund the police commercials. He would have like a video of a robbery taking place, and then somebody tried to call the cops, and the answering machine would be like, "I'm sorry, you are unable to reach emergency services. You cannot talk to a policeman right now because the Democrats have defunded the police." And then the girl that was getting robbed would get like murdered or something. Those advertisements, those negative advertisements, might seem cartoonish, might seem funny, but they work. People respond to it. So after that happens, races take a big turn, and now things are getting nasty back the other direction. And another thing too with campaigning, how that works, if Nina Turner is there early and she has a 40-point lead, who do you focus on as your main opponent? Another opponent can come from the bottom with 10 times as much money and attack you directly. But who do you attack if you don't know who your number one person to focus on is? And you've been running, weak positive advertisements for a long time. It sucks.
That was really something.
And we've had people, I will never get over Soledad O'Brien saying after Nevada that we have to wait until an actually diverse state votes to figure out what the people want. She's Afro-Latina and dismissing Nevada and all of those voters like that.
So here's another thought I
I thought ads weren't as effective or weren't as useful anymore. For the presidential elections, it's a little bit different. You don't have as much of a close relationship to the person you're going to be voting for. But when it comes to like a local congressman or something, or a congresswoman, if you are going to vote for Nina Turner, let's say she knocked on your door, you're a big Democratic voter, and you're like, oh, she's awesome. But then you see an advertisement, and you see Nina Turner called Joe Biden a piece of poop and refused to support him against Donald Trump. You might say, oh, I'm not voting for her. She did that with Trump, with how dangerous Trump was. He tried overturning our country. Dude, wow. Nina Turner, that's who she is. I'm not going to vote. Like, that matters for local races.
had where I really think Bernie
And I know,
sort of
I know National Congress isn't, or Federal House or whatever, isn't exactly local, but it's still close enough.
messed up in the campaign is that I would have defined all of these policy positions that he advocates for. I would have called that moderate. I've been like, I'm the moderate. Joe's the one who's extreme. He's the one who voted for the Iraq War. He's the one who voted for the Patriot Act. He's the one who outsourced your jobs. He's the one who did the crime bill. He's the one who did the bankruptcy bill. I'm the one that has the moderate positions. Do you think that an argument like that would have potentially resonated more?
Yes, but especially because regardless of the moderate part, the willingness...
Prediction. I predict that Nina Turner is going to hold on. I think she's going to eke it out. I know the numbers are closing back in, but the most favorable poll for her opponent was done by her opponent's internal campaign, And they do this, by the way, so they can put a poll out there to give supporters optimism to get out to vote. Like, oh, I can win. Make sure you're there to vote because every vote matters. But their internal votes show a 7-point gap still. Everything done by a bigger organization was a bigger gap. I don't think there's enough time to close 10 points unless if something damning came out. But like I said in my other video, a lot came out about Brown's history that people don't like as much either. A lot of negative stuff. So I think Nina, that's my prediction. I think she's going to win. I think it's going to be a close one, but she's going to win by 3.5 points. That's my plus whatever. I don't know. Whatever the numbers mean. That's my plus minus 3, whatever. I don't know.
Yes, but especially because regardless of the moderate part, the willingness to tee up all of Joe Biden's transgressions.
No, Nina didn't say she's not voting for Biden, but she was like calling Joe Biden a really bad option while voting for Trump at the same time. And many voters simply don't see it that way. They like Joe Biden. Democratic
Right, yeah.
voters. She's in a primary right now. She's not in a general election.
I think is enormously powerful and was never done. And the closest that he came was that last Ides of March debate. The debate after we all went home and quarantine happened and it was the pall fell on America.
Yep.
But it was still Joe Biden's my friend ultimately.
Yep.
He can win. He would be a good president.
That's what
Yeah.
would be crazy.
And,
He can win.
Oh, that was talking
Barney,
to you on
what
that
are you
there, like,
doing?
it's over.
I think he can win,
And
but please pick me.
it's difficult because I was having a debate with a more centrist friend of mine recently.
To respond to what you said, the big points Nina needs to really pound to voters, which she has been doing. I think that's a really positive. This is a really positive thing she has been doing. So she needs to give voters confidence she can work with Joe Biden. The two big things are, I will be fighting for you. Everybody knows that's her message. Number 2 is I will be able to work with Joe Biden, and I will be a good member of the Democratic Party, pushing it in the right direction. And you need to also convince voters that your direction is the good direction. So those 3 things. You're going to fight for the regular person. No corporate donations. My opponent is taking tons of money. Number 2, I can work with Joe Biden. Nina Turner said if Kamala Harris can do it after calling Joe Biden a racist, I can. And then my way is the right way. And I'm going to be a good Democratic Party member and lead us in a better direction.
And they were asking me, they were like, why do you hate Joe Biden so much?
I will
I was like, well,
represent
it's not
you.
personal. I don't hate Joe Biden, but let me ask you this. Do you expect me to have affinity for the guy who was the architect of the crime bill? Like, I'm like really asking you.
Right.
You know how much student debt I have. Do you think that I should be, sanguine about the guy who made it so that I can't discharge this in bankruptcy? Like, how many very specific things? Like, I'm not fan of parties. I admit it. But I was like, don't come at me over my mild critique of Joe Biden when I have every right to be furiously hateful of the man. But I don't think that's useful to me to take my energy there. But if he were correctly portrayed, if he were accurately described, he should be considered a not great person.
Right, yeah, no.
For a lot of Americans whose lives he's directly impacted, mass incarcerated, thrown into bankruptcy, and ruin.
On the oh crap, it's over. On the thing
2016
brought
felt
up
like a very
about
different race because there was not.
brought up about Joe Biden and the crime bill. At the time of its passing in 1994, 60% of African American voters. Wait, no, not even voters. I think 60% of Black Americans were in support of the crime bill. Actually, I think a higher proportion of Black people supported the crime bill than white people. It was only like 50% of white people who supported the crime bill. The crime bill that Joe Biden was the architect of or whatever. Most Black mayors who had issues with high crime rates also supported the crime bill. And it's really weird that and we know a lot of the issues with the war on drug, but you need to look. We're looking at this in a democratic function. We're not looking at this in an isolated bubble where we know all the outcomes. And we know today that Black people support the police. So messages like defund the police isn't exactly gonna fix anything. So how do you approach voters who have this opinion of these politicians and also their policies? And a lot of goodwill is given to like Bernie Sanders and his involvement with crime bills. But, Joe Biden is viciously scorned for being a part of the other crime bill in 1994. Wasn't Bernie a part of this too, to an extent? But I think you can place more blame on supporting the credit thing that Biden did. I thought that was really cringe. But the crime bill is such a complicated topic. You have to ignore a lot of people to say that it wasn't popular or that it wasn't needed for certain areas. Not to say it was good. It wasn't. I don't think it was good. But we're not talking about good or bad. We're talking about democracy. Okay, what's next? Give me suggestions. Suggestions, man. Biden is personally responsible for your bankruptcy. Did you react to Jank kicking? Is it Jank? Is it Jank or Chank? Like CH or J? Did you react to him kicking Kyle from the Young Turks Network? That happened. I did not see that. Hey, we're starting soon. Go in Discord and give me stuff to watch. Some good progressive. Jank. Here. Go in here and drop links in one of the chats. Jank. I could go through all the channels. Did Jimmy Dore say anything else dumb? That's always fun to make dumb videos about. Okay. Biden melts down on CNN. Massive worker strike on Wall Street. We could do a rhetoric evaluation of Joe Biden. Oops. If anybody puts anything in Discord, let me know. Okay, so let's talk about why Jimmy Dore's strategy is counterproductive to progressivism.
All right, so Joe Biden did a town hall, and it was apparent that shit is not going right in Joe Biden's head. And I just want to, first of all, he started off by giving some misinformation about the vaccine. Now, I saw Jem Psaki, his press secretary, say you should be, if you're banned for medical misinformation on one platform, you should be banned on all platforms. Well, they banned Trump. I wonder if they're going to ban him because here's his misinformation.
Let's see it.
Okay, you're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations. Yeah.
So I don't know if you just heard what he said, but that
Okay, that was indeed false. Cool. By the way, saying Joe Biden is going crazy, although he is very old and he has trouble talking sometimes, saying that is not a good way to win people over. You are just helping right-wingers at that point. Far right-wingers, I love you, regular working-class Republicans, but far-right political figures and politicians, I love all the right-wing working class. We're going to work together someday. But you don't get any points from Democratic voters. You don't get any people to support progressive policies by calling Joe Biden old and senile or corrupt or a war criminal or any of this other pseudo-left, as somebody said, Cenk called Kyle, populist rhetoric.
that is misinformation. That is bad COVID information from the president of the United States. I thought it was just Trump who did that. Here he is. That is not true, what he just said. And he said it on CNN, and they didn't correct him. Because I don't know if you watched this, but Don Lemon was acting like Joe Biden's handler instead of a journalist. A game show host would do a better job than Don Lemon did.
Probably.
So he's asked about the virus and the vaccine, and here's what he said.
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have.
I think bringing up Biden's issue talking would be good if he was running again, because that is an issue. If you're running for president, they did bring that up. Remember Julian Castro said to Joe Biden, "Did you forget what you said a second ago, old man?" He didn't say old man, but he did bring that up. Kind of funny. Don Lemon did act like a little bit of Joe Biden's handler during this, in the same way that a Fox News host would support Trump or whatever. Like I said the other night, Trump's misspeaks and craziness was actual craziness. I think Joe Biden's a tired old man who's being forced to talk in front of millions of people when he is falling apart physically. Not good, not the best situation to be in. But FDR literally could not walk. FDR had polio. If we had the same mass media today, or if we had the same mass media we have today back then, a lot worse would have been said about about FDR. FDR was much less capable to be president than Joe Biden is. I just don't think it's a good hit on Biden. You have to focus on policy issues. Making a bunch of laugh reels like, man, Joe Biden can't talk. Dude, it's cringe. It doesn't work.
These vaccinations, yeah.
Now, we know that's not true, that they call them breakout. The Delta variant, people are getting the break.
Oh my God. By the way, with the Delta variant, has anybody seen all the depressing findings about how, like, it looks like people that are vaccinated still do spread the Delta variant less than people who are not vaccinated, but the viral load that they found in your nose is the same with or without a vaccine with the Delta variant. So it's a lot more resilient against the vaccines, and it can survive in your body even if it doesn't make you as sick. You'll still feel a lot better if you are vaccinated versus if you're not vaccinated. It is still very true that you probably will not die. Your survival rate with a vaccination is very, 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 very crazily high. Without it, it drops down a good amount. But the spreading of the virus, oh boy, it's depressing. And did anybody see Lollapalooza over the weekend? Let me bring it up real quick. A picture of Lollapalooza. Oh my God. The crowds are insane. Lolla, how do you spell it? Lollapalooza crowd. Here, right here. Here, right here. Playboy Cardi. Here's a good example. Playboy Cardi, the whole crowd. Look at this. No copyright from me. Look at this. I got rickrolled, whatever. I thought this was the crowd at Lollapalooza. It's a galaxy. It's a galaxy. Okay. But here, I think this is the crowd, right? Yep, there you go. This is happening right now at the same time of the pandemic fourth wave. It's really fun, right? Super fun. Almost as contagious as measles now. Yeah, COVID's going to be a thing for like another 10 years. Yes, let's go. Hey, thank God we have capitalism, right? All these companies are working for solutions. I did invest at one point with like $100 in this one company called Atosa or something. They had a nose spray that makes you not like get COVID as much, because a lot of COVID goes through your nose. If you breathe in through your nose, you have a higher chance of getting it worse, and you spread it more through your nose. Like if you breathe in and out your nose. So this like nose spray is supposed to make like a little nose condom for you. Not like it's protection, whatever. The CDC never should have removed the mask mandate. I hate the CDC. Their messaging is terrible. You are not supposed to update your public PR stuff, your press releases, with every new piece of scientific evidence. People cannot handle that. Your public interaction needs to be very clear. And what they did before is, hey, if you have a vaccine, you no longer have to wear a mask, because they thought that would incentivize people to get vaccinated. But knowing more strands or more strains may come in the future, and knowing everything that they already knew, they should have never said that. They should have kept the masking where it was. But now here we are. Spencer, I don't see why Joe Biden doesn't cancel student loan debt with an executive order. I don't know how it would play politically. I'd have to look at the numbers of how many people would vote Democratic because of that. When it comes to the policy, it's something Joe Biden can do right now through executive action, or executive order. Those are different things. So he probably wouldn't. I would definitely not be against him doing it.
Now we know that's not true. That they call them breakout. The Delta variant, people are getting the breakout. Now, if you have the vaccine, it's not supposed to be tough on you. It's supposed to be, you get through it. Your symptoms are much less.
I'm muted. I know I'm muted. I'm typing in the chat. I know I'm muted. Don't tell me. I know I'm muted. I know I'm muted. Don't tell me. Do not tell me. I know I'm muted. I know I'm muted. Do not say anything. I know it. Okay? Don't even tell me. You better not say anything. Okay. LZ, if you have that video, please put it in Discord in the drop link section or something. Thank you.
Sir, that's what they say. That's not what he said. What he said is so that's medical misinformation right there. Medical misinformation. Did you catch that, Ron? When did you see that?
No, I didn't catch it the first time, but yeah, that's for sure incorrect.
And he's just like, no, if I said that, if I went on Joe Rogan and I said that, do you know how many guys would be ripping me a new asshole? They'd probably
did. You went on Joe Rogan and you said a bunch of disinformation. Are you kidding me? And nothing happened to you. Shut up.
An article about it in BuzzFeed and Newsweek. And Ryan Grimm
nobody did that. Nobody
never stopped tweeting about it.
Nobody
from
did
behind
that.
a block.
Nope.
But Joe Biden said it. Nobody's saying anything.
You should go back to school.
He said it last Saturday. Have you heard anybody say anything? Has there been a ruckus
about
Joe Biden giving science, giving anti-science answers? No one's even brought it up. I haven't heard anybody bring it up. Have you, Ron?
No, not at all.
No.
And yeah, you'd think they would at least say, well, technically you can still get it. Like you think they would have
Yeah.
like just thrown that in there. You're a major news network.
So now here he is.
That's a good criticism. That is true. They should have corrected him. Has the topic of the stream been covered yet? Yeah, Kyle, Crystal, and Brianna Joy. Go back to the beginning, and I did a video on that. Thank you.
Trying to
It'll be
I don't
up
know
later,
what he's
though.
trying to do here, but he was trying to. Their whole focus was to try to get people who were not inclined to get an experimental vaccine, people who don't trust an experimental vaccine and they don't want to get it. So they spent most of the show that I saw trying to figure out ways how we can convince those people to take the vaccine, right? And so here he is saying, like you say, well, here's what he says.
That's underway, just like the other question that's illogical. And I've heard you speak about it because I'm not being solicitous, but you're always straight up about what you're doing. And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you are, why can't the experts say, we know that this virus is in fact, it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved, but permanently approved. Yeah. That's underway too. I expect that to occur quickly.
Well, oh yeah, the experimental line, it's not experimental. It just isn't fully FDA certified, which means it didn't go through the time process that you usually need to take to get something certified through the FDA. Usually it takes a long time to get something fully through. Right now, they sped up the process, expedited. They gave a lot of resources towards it. They tested it on a lot more people than usual when it comes to the vaccines and other treatments. It was given the gold standard testing process. Just not the full time span that is required for full authorization. Check back in 1 or 2 years, and these vaccines will be fully certified by the FDA. It just takes time. They have a protocol, and yeah, I don't like it when people are like, these are experimental vaccines that 30% of the world got already. Okay.
What? Honest to God, what? What was the question?
His brain is in a microwave. Like, he's just like...
Really, literally, what? See,
it's frightening. He's in charge.
That's the guy in charge. Remember they said just...
God, I love it when I misspeak on television. Or even, you know what? If I forget something on camera, you should judge me the rest of my life. You should say I have no ability to critically think because I said something wrong underneath freaking stage lights, being interviewed in front of millions of people. Again, dude, a president should not be in that condition, but who cares? As long as he's not literally senile like Ronald Reagan was. If anybody wants a good history, whatever, refresher, go back and look up Reagan Alzheimer's and look at how he handled his like TV appearances during that stint when he was mentally degrading.
We just need a competent individual. And remember that? Remember those lawn signs? They couldn't even pull that off.
No, we got the guy.
I wonder if I have any clips of that.
I don't know what he just said there. We have to...
That's underway, just like the other question that's illogical. And I've heard you speak about it because I'm not being solicitous, but you're always straight up about what you're doing. And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you are, why can't the experts say, we know that this virus is in fact, it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved, but permanently approved.
Dude, it's like he's playing charades. It's
yes.
like, wait, I know, unqualified president. I got it. I got that one.
What is he saying? Why did the temporary drugs become permanent? That didn't even make any sense. Anyway, so here's more.
Reduce inflation because they're going to be provided.
So he was asked about, because there's inflation happening now. And he was trying to say that inflation is going to happen in the short term, but not the long term.
I don't think Jimmy Dore ever changed, but the political climate did change. So when you have to deal with real life politics, it gets more difficult to do even commentary about it. Because in like a Democratic primary with like Bernie Sanders, for example, I made like Jimmy Dore content. It was so easy. Outrage. Everybody's corrupt. Everything is very simple. Money in politics causes literally everything. That's all you need to talk about. So in the Democratic primary, it's really easy to talk about supporting Bernie Sanders. Jimmy Dore did not support Bernie Sanders, but it's really easy to follow the same narrative. But when things break down to reality, back to reality, oh, there goes Rabbit, he choked. He's so mad, but he won't give up that easily. No, you know, the rap god, the rabbity god, Eminem. God, I love the rapidy rap god. He's like 50 now. Holy crap. Eminem's getting old. I was thinking earlier, like, holy crap. Recovery came out 12 years ago. Like, oh my goodness. Like, the Marshall Mathers LP came out like 20 22 years ago. Oh my God, pain, pain. Why does time go so fast? Holy crap. What was I talking about? I forget.
It happen right now, but not in the long term. What is if inflation happens, that means it happens. If prices go up, they went up. So now he expands on that answer. Watch this.
Reduce inflation because they're going to be providing good opportunities and jobs for people who, in fact, are going to be reinvesting that money back in all the things we're talking about, driving down prices, not raising prices. And so it is, I sincerely mean this. Prices are up now, and they're up for example, you're in a position where you're trying to build a house, try to find 2x4s and lumber.
Oh, it does hurt. It is painful. Oh God. Oh my goodness. It's so painful. Oh my. Oh my. He's jumping all around. He's just freestyling up there, dude. Trying to make words rhyme. Trying to make them all rhyme. Trying to make a bar out of it. My goodness. I mean, I have to study inflation more because people bring up Biden-inflation. You know, Biden-inflation. I need more rebuttals to what they say. I don't have them locked and loaded yet.
Guess what?
It's
People
complicated.
stopped working, cutting lumber. They stopped doing it because the unemployment.
Lumber, the supply chains were the issue, Joe. It wasn't unemployment. I'm sorry. It was not unemployment for lumber. The supply chain took a long time to get going again. And demand surged once the world opened back up, and we didn't have the supply to meet the standard. So that's why lumber was costing so much. One of the big reasons.
Was so down.
Why did they stop cutting? Because the unemployment was so down? What? What are you talking about? What? They stopped cutting lumber because unemployment was so down.
Now all of a sudden there's this need because people are coming back, and guess what? Instead of paying 10 cents, you're paying 20. You understand what I'm saying?
No.
It relates to
No.
what, in fact, is now needed because we're growing.
Prices are so, Joe. The way it happens is the prices are elastic. It's demand and supply. So people are. Why do we have to pay more? I don't understand. If Kaiser cut, what you're saying? There's a lumber. Okay.
Dude, it sounds like it's not linear. Like, it sounds like it's a poorly edited.
Wait, what Jimmy Dore did right there wasn't any better. You know, Joe, that's how it works. The elastic, inelastic demand supply. It's how it works. You know, the lumber, you think there's a lumber, you know, whatever, a lumber. There was a lumber once. Like, dude, you didn't say anything. What
What
are you talking
but
about?
It's not. He's actually just saying
Yes.
all those things. Like, it sounds like it was like
Spliced.
together.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody spliced that shit together. But he
All
literally.
right. I'm gonna take Durka's wisdom because somebody sent me a video to watch. That's why I changed the stream name to this. Online politics drama Vosh Wow Destiny Wow. I don't even know what this video is about, but we're gonna react to it, I guess. I'll post this to YouTube. I'm gonna call it Jimmy Dore Wow. Oh no. Okay, let's see. What is this? Oh no. Do I have the power to respond to this? Who made this? Damn. This is scary. Okay. I guess we'll look at it. Somebody sent me it. I'm a little scared, but I'll give it a chance. 960 subscribers. Bitter Dose TV. What is this? Oh no. Oh no. I'm real scared. What's gonna happen? Am I gonna get banned? Somebody sent puppy pics.
So yeah, I don't know if you're watching the stream right now. We just went over the amazing Brianna Greyjoy clip. So I know that you were involved in some tweets. So like, what was your involvement like after this was unfolding? Because I saw there was like a lot of drama that you got into with some people on Twitter.
Oh yeah, Bernie or Busters are probably some of the dumbest people on lefty Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Like I ended up quote tweeting it and talking about how it's ridiculous to have this massive issue with just doing the smallest thing you can possibly do to influence political change in your country, which is vote, and trying to take this weird like, oh, I'm not going to do it because they're both the same, or oh, certain people will suffer the same amount they do now under Biden as they do Trump, so why should I vote? None of these arguments are valid whatsoever, and I pointed that out on Twitter, but Bernie or Bust Twitter is very angry.
Yeah, I knew this tweet was going to be a fucking problem. So, Brianna Greyjoy, the former National Press Secretary for Bernie Sanders.
I don't know if I could do it.
She did an interview with Noam Chomsky on.
Okay, I don't know if I could do it right now. I'll watch it later. Oh yeah, wait. I want to see. I'm gonna title the stream "Vosh Bad." Vosh lied about what? Question mark. Vosh lied about what? Question mark, question mark, question mark. What? Vosh? What's his other channel called? The Vosh Pit. Okay. I'm pretty sure Bernie. I looked at Bernie. Bernie did not make a YouTube video, to be clear. But I'm pretty sure Vosh reacted to the same Crystal and Kyle clip that I did, and he got some facts wrong that I want to correct really quick.
Be killed by the filibuster and the parliamentarian.
Right. Well, but again, I don't want to defend him.
So Crystal Ball says to Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden is bad. You didn't call him bad. Joe Biden could be solving every world issue with executive power. Joe Biden cannot do that. She brings up student debt cancellation. Her only 2 points of what Joe Biden can do unilaterally are student debt cancellation and making marijuana legalized. So student debt cancellation, it still is a debatable legal question whether or not our executive branch can cancel all of student debt at the swipe of a whatever pen, whatever. That is still debatable. Can Biden do it? Probably. The arguments hold up pretty well. But when it comes to making marijuana fully legalized, and Bernie Sanders spread disinformation about this as well, Biden cannot make marijuana legal. He can be a good policy entrepreneur and say, hey guys, legalize marijuana. The American people want it. Can he do that? Yes. But when it comes to what he can do with the scheduling of marijuana, you as the president cannot unschedule something as a controlled substance, but you can reschedule something. So, for example, marijuana right now is in the same class as like heroin and cocaine. It's a Schedule 1 drug. What Biden can do is take it from Schedule 1 and make it be in Schedule 4. Scheduling marijuana in a different category would not change how legal it is throughout the country. It would decriminalize it in the sense that it would not be Schedule 1 anymore. But when it comes to selling recreational marijuana, in order to sell recreational marijuana or any controlled substance, you need a license from the DEA. So Biden cannot do anything to make marijuana legal nationwide with his executive power. Although many people think he cannot do that. It's not within his control. It's not within control of the president. But this argument's brought up again and again. And you know, Bernie said that too, but Biden can't do that.
I think the point you made a few minutes ago is exactly right. In this critical moment, when we're dealing with the future of the planet, when we're dealing with the future of democracy, you know what? I think majority should rule and not the. I believe that strongly. But don't think
Bernie really does sound like an ASMR king right now.
that he can snap his fingers, no matter what he may or may not believe, and make things happen. All right, there are senators.
There are certain things he could do, though, through executive, for example, canceling student debt.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There are things he can do.
Legalizing marijuana,
Yes.
he could potentially do
Yes.
through an executive
Yep.
order.
Biden has done a lot of things through executive power. He's up there with the most EOs and memos of any president. He's at the top undoing what Trump did. There was a list of like 100 anti-environmental list things that Trump wanted to do. He wanted to reverse 100 like Obama era. Actually, no, it was 100 policies in history. Trump wanted to reverse all of those with executive order. Biden came back in and reversed all of them back. So, for example, it had to do with like national park drilling and stuff like that. Biden did a lot with executive order. The big news story when Biden took office is how much stuff he did through executive power. And Crystal Ball's like, he could do so much. For example, student loan debt. She has one example of what he can do. And even that is a debatable topic on if he should do it that way, how he should do it, if he legally can do it.
And so there hasn't been a willingness, even though he says, yes, I support the $15 minimum wage. Yes, I support the PRO Act, to use all the tools that are at his disposal to actually make those things happen.
You're absolutely sure of that?
Is that fair?
No. I mean,
they're making the federal minimum wage for federal workers, $15 an hour. Biden is going to do that. That is within what they can do as a federal government with their employees.
In other words, you do not know about the
And
discussion.
Joe Biden literally, at a town hall, said to small business owners' face, if you wanna get more workers, Joe Biden said, you need to pay your employees more. You need to pay $15 an hour if you want to get workers right now. Biden said that to a small business owner's face. Do you know how bad that is for politics? But Biden did it anyway. He's been talking about $15 an hour more than I thought he would. And he's done everything he could through executive power to get it done.
That he has with people who walk into his office. Okay. No, it's wrong to assume.
But the Democrats didn't overrule the parliamentarian. Bro, even if they did overrule the parliamentarian, 8 Democrats, and I know they didn't say that, but this is their argument they bring up. 8 Democrats in the Senate did not want to put $15 an hour on the bill they were passing for reconciliation. Even if they could, they didn't want to do it. All these arguments fall apart if you look into them, even like a centimeter of deepness, whatever the word is.
When you're dealing with a United States senator who does not want to end the filibuster, that he can go in there and say, hey, I want you to do that. No. So don't give the president...
I could play Rocket League a different night.
Although he could do what you proposed when you were asked on the trail.
I noticed very few people are responding in chat because they're getting pulled in 2 directions and they're waiting to see my impression on this before they commit to a position.
How would you deal with Senator Manchin? You said, I go to West Virginia. I'd do the rally.
Yeah.
I'd call him out.
Right. I mean, there are things you could do. All that I'm saying.
And Bernie was wrong about that too. You cannot do that. Right now, Bernie Sanders is playing so nice with Joe Manchin for a reason. Because Bernie Sanders needs Joe Manchin's vote for his budget reconciliation infrastructure bill and for the bipartisan infrastructure bill. To get any progressive priorities done, Bernie Sanders needs to be a politician. He needs to be a person on the inside getting stuff done. He can't be an activist who yells about every problem in the world. Bernie is in a real position of power right now. If Bernie Sanders goes, and by the way, the infrastructure bill is the only realistic path to getting any of these goals done. But if Bernie Sanders goes in West Virginia right now and says, hey guys, Joe Manchin isn't supporting your bill, and then Joe Manchin hears that, guess who's not going to vote for Bernie's reconciliation bill? Joe Manchin. It's a 50-50 tie in the Senate right now. You need Joe Manchin's vote. We all know this. We all know that. But it's such a, look into it, even a centimeter. Bernie knows this. In Bernie's heart, he wants to be raging populist all of the time. I guarantee you. Bernie wants to go full Kyle Kulinski every day. You're corrupt. You're corrupt. You're corrupt. But Bernie Sanders is old now. He knows better. He knows he needs to help people now, not just be advocating for issues, actually getting them done.
Do not minimize. I mean, and I don't want to get into personalities, but
sure.
Any member of the United States Senate has the power to kill this thing. And to think that the president alone can change that is not 100% correct.
Sure, but there are executive actions that he could take, student debt and other things that he could do. We can agree on.
I am
right?
not, yes.
And other things.
And then we get the
what are
song
the
at
other
end,
things?
Okay, so now I'll let you know what I think so you can all form your opinion. I'm actually pretty sympathetic to Crystal Ball's position here, in spite of my many disagreements with her. I am.
Yeah. Emotionally, I'm there. Like, emotionally, I want to be like her. I want to not think about the intricate details. Like, if I don't have to think about details, it'd be so much easier.
There are going to be people who use this clip, who are going to use this clip as ammunition, as part of some coordinated attack on all of the most left-leaning people in our government to try to frame them as traitors. They're going to say that Bernie Sanders has cucked himself out to Joe Biden, that he's kowtowing to Joe Biden's establishment, that he's unwilling to do, et cetera, et cetera. This is a very common line with the Crystal, Jimmy Dore, that whole side of things. And I want to make it really clear from the get-go. That whole side of things is irreparably stupid. And the people who pose those sorts of arguments, that, like, the Justice Dems are cucked, that Bernie is cucked, are, generally speaking, unproductive, divisive douchebags who think of political engagement as a means by which they can build their personal brand and have absolutely no political sense for what it takes to develop a movement or to build the institutional framework of genuine left-leaning populism in this country. With that being said, Bernie's pretty soft here. I've said this before. My biggest criticisms of Joe Biden, the big ones, I mean the substantive ones, are A, he could be using executive actions far more aggressively. As for the marijuana thing in particular, I mean, think of how many lives he could save. I mean, how many hundreds of thousands of people whose lives he could...
He can't make marijuana legal, Voosh. Vax. Vash, it's not true, Vash. I'm sorry. He can't do that.
Keep from being ruined. Like, this is an immediately important issue. Like how he scoured the people who tested positive for marijuana despite supporting it in the past, ostensibly. Stuff like that. And secondly,
Biden should be he should be pro legalization. He's not pro legalization. That is bad. But to act like he can do it through like executive power isn't true.
now, it's impossible for us to know whether Joe Biden is wheeling and dealing in the background to try to get Sinema and Joe Manchin and everything on board. And I'm sure he is a little bit. Bernie literally agreed on that. Quit getting triggered. Hold on.
I gave the explanation for why he can't do that like 5 minutes ago. Joe Biden can reschedule drugs under the Controlled Substance Act. He cannot unschedule something. So he can move marijuana from a Schedule 1 drug to a Schedule 4. Right now, it's in the same category as heroin and cocaine. He can move it to a lower level of controlled substance. But that doesn't mean it won't be a controlled substance. So it will not be legal throughout the entire country. State regulations are still there. Plus, you still need a license from the DEA in order to sell controlled substances. In order to take it off the controlled substances list, you need a congressional process done. You need to actually get like a full legislative session in and do it through a bill. You can't do it through executive power or anything.
My God, I know. I like Bernie too. I'm not saying I don't. Just holy Christ. Just hold on. Now, I'm sure Joe Biden is doing some wheeling and dealing in the background. Is he doing as much as I would like him to? I can't know. I assume probably not. The thing that really bugs me,
One thing that can help people who sell marijuana, right now, if you're a marijuana business for recreational, you sell marijuana, you cannot apply for the same tax deductions, tax credits, and not taxes, and loans. You don't have access to the same resources as other small businesses do if you sell marijuana, a controlled substance. There are laws being pushed by like Chuck Schumer and stuff that would change that, but I'm pretty sure Joe Biden can't even change that tax status through executive power. So this would all have to be done through the House and Senate. And I don't think Joe Biden's going to be a marijuana warrior anytime soon.
is that Joe Biden
Pothead
is
Joe.
nowhere near hard enough on pushing for these things in the public eye. Donald Trump was able to pull quite a few people over to his radical positions by talking about them day in and day out, the entirety of his presidency. Every time you put a microphone in front of him, he would go off on how BLM is tearing down America and the Mexicans are destroying.
A lot of people were already there. If you want to get something through government, Trump was very bad at getting his pet projects through anywhere. If you look at what Trump was successful on with taxes and regulations, he only got through bills and Supreme Court justices that Republicans already wanted. No matter who the Republican president was, they were going to get these policies done, like the tax cuts or whatever. Those weren't Trump's policy. Stuff he wanted to do, he was shut down with infrastructure and everything. So the idea that Trump was super successful in politics, being a populist demagogue, in politics, I mean, in the democratic process, he wasn't really good at that. He was good at getting a lot of people angry, getting a lot of people pissed off outside of government through his little populist uprising. But his strategy didn't work well. It didn't translate to actual democratic functions.
Our border and the Muslims and the China virus and this and that. Every political line that he wanted to push for, he would advocate for actively and aggressively. Joe Biden.
Can he change the schedule? Sure. I'm not sure if it would serve any function, though, even if he did. I'd have to look into it. Would it result in lesser sentences? I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works. I'd have to look into it more, though.
Does not do that. Joe Biden does not go out there and deliver these bold, passionate speeches on.
Like I said, if it can be like a symbolic thing, I would love it. Sure, push for marijuana, but and this thing Vosh is about to say.
Joe Biden does not go out there and deliver these bold, passionate speeches on the public option or on marijuana legalization or decriminalization. He doesn't go out there and talk about these issues, the infrastructure bill, everything he claims to care about, with anywhere near.
I really wish Democrats would do that. I wish they would come into our backyards, and I mean as a party. I wish they would come to communities like mine and say, guys, we want to build your roads. We want to build your businesses. These companies are not going to invest in your community. We want to come together as a community and build up from the ground up. Trump lied about coal. Coal isn't coming back. Coal crashed even quicker once Trump took office. Coal left even quicker than before. Democrats are going to build back better. You know, I wish they would do that, dude. That makes me mad. 100%. That should be where the criticism is. Not on like these weird side projects that people like to focus on. But I feel like that message could work. You don't got to be a crazy populist. You got to be chill. You just got to be chill. We're here to work for you. We're here to give you money. We're here to give you jobs. We're here to make sure people are put to work, building up your own communities. We don't want to be the big government from the top down. We want to make sure you have the power to rise up yourself or whatever. That'd be really, really fun to watch.
The vigor or the enthusiasm that Republicans can muster. And part of that is typical liberal softness, and part of that is because it's difficult to know how much he even cares about getting these ideas actually pushed. These are my big criticisms. There are others, but those are the big ones. And I think it's fair to expect Bernie to push back against that a little bit harder. Now, it is true that Bernie Sanders acknowledged Joe Biden could be doing more here, but you cannot deny he takes a very defensive tone. The question is why.
Like I said, for a reason.
Excuse me. Got my
question is
nose
why. Tell me
itchy.
why, Vosh.
Ooh.
Let's see if you have
The
the right
question is
political
why.
evaluation.
Why does Bernie Sanders come off
Let's hear it.
deferential? And,
Let's see if Vosh has the correct answer. We are about to find out.
Fairly light-handed. And there are people spoiling it in chat, but the answer is because Bernie's done. He's not running for president again, or at the very least, I'd be very surprised if he did. Bernie is Yoshi in Super Mario World, okay? When you have to jump a really big gap, you get on Yoshi and you jump, and then you jump off Yoshi, and he falls into the pit.
Okay, I appreciate the Yoshi analogy. I'm a big Yoshi fanboy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I make a good Yoshi sound.
You make your way up, okay? But Bernie Sanders stretched his hands out and held in his hands the millions of Bernie bros, all of us, okay? And as he sank down through the primaries, he vaulted us.
No, dude, that's not a good analogy, though, because Bernie Sanders, if he was in the position of budget chairman earlier and he was responsible for getting major stuff through like he is right now, he would be doing the same thing. It's not about him going away. He doesn't care about that. He does want to leave a good legacy, but he's trying to get stuff done. He's trying to get it actually through. Like, he's in a different position now. He has real power now. When you have real power, you have real responsibility. You need to approach it a certain way. You need to do it in a more disciplined manner. You can't just go and yell, everybody's corrupt, you're corrupt, you're corrupt, you're a billionaire, you suck, you don't want to give Medicare for all to everybody, therefore we're not going to do anything. Yeah, that's not a mentality you can have in government. You're not going to get anything done. You need to be a good policy advocate and a policy, whatever a good word is for responsible people, you know?
All up so that we could go in his stead. Bernie's not in a position to lead any bold movements anymore. Or to be more specific, it doesn't seem like any antagonism he capitalizes on now will pay off in the future. It doesn't seem like there's a political road for him in the future to make use of the antagonism. Maybe more so for AOC, Ilhan Omar, because they have vibrant political futures ahead of them, but Bernie, less so. So he goes moderate. He doesn't take big risks because he has more.
Even AOC, and I wouldn't say Bernie's going moderate, by the way. He's not going moderate. He's toning down a little bit because he needs to. Even AOC, since she got in, and this is one of the reasons Fraud Squad started, that entire hashtag about the squad being fake. She went from an activist type, and now she's becoming more of a policy advocate. More of a serious person in Washington. The closer she gets to real power, AOC is making that shift. The entire squad is. Like, it's what happens when you get in the game, get into the real arena, the real political arena. You're not just an angry person on the outside anymore. Inside politics and outside politics are two very different things.
More to lose than to gain. And he is now committed, and I believe this, he is now committed to the idea that he should be a calm, quiet, positive, and unobjectionable representation of progressivism in the Democratic Party. This kind of makes it sound like you think he's sacrificing himself so he gives someone else room to be more aggressive. That is absolutely what his job is now. Unquestionably. The job of a politician and the job of an activist are two very different things. And activism seems to be a little bit behind him now. He's a very old guy, and he's had two primary president.
Yes, I mean, he sort of used my analogy with inside and outside politics, but his foundation for his comparison is sort of wrong, because you can see AOC doing the same thing. They're not sacrificing themselves. It's a normal transition. It's funny how Destiny is now praising it. Yeah, I love Destiny's funny. It's funny to watch him. He has to make sure he doesn't say anything too good about the lefties, and if they don't like something, he just trolls about it on Twitter. What a funny guy.
Presidential primaries to run through. It doesn't mean
Did you see his debate versus Hans?
It does mean he has to play things closer to the vest. Does he have to play things this close to the vest? Honestly, I don't think so. I think he might be playing it too close to the vest here. I think he could be louder. I think he could be bolder. I think that he
All
comes
gas, no
off
brakes.
uncomfortable hearing criticisms of Joe Biden here, in some respects, which makes me uncomfortable because I like people criticizing Joe Biden. I like Joe Biden being criticized from the left. And Bernie is still, probably, the most prominent left voice in this
Yeah,
country.
criticize things that are true, though.
So for him to be conciliatory then is a little unfortunate. So I want to be clear about this, okay? There are extreme positions on this, and they're very, very, very smooth-brained. One extreme position is that Bernie is cucked and he's spineless. That is absolutely not true. This is a deliberate and reasoned political strategy, which, in my opinion, he's taken too far. He has always been an amicable guy, not somebody to wallow in drama. And I think at this point, while the general strategy is legitimate, the specific implementation here comes off wanting. There are also
I was muted. I know I was muted. I was muted. I know. I did it again. But I was just saying, I keep on getting these comments on the videos I make like this, about me punching left when I react to like Crystal Ball and Kyle Kulinski. I don't think people understand. If I make a video titled "Grilling Crystal Ball's Pathetic Bernie Sanders interview segment," dude, this is not my job. This is my part-time job, sort of. Like, I do this for fun. I react to these people because they say dumb things, and I learn about things in real politics and real life, and I bring that here to correct their cartoonish narrative. Like, I'm working in real politics, IRL. I don't need to have a hardcore, super hardcore, you know, whatever take on literally everything. I'm reacting to political streamers, for God's sakes. People are funny. I'm not going to go 100% pedal to the metal every freaking second.
people who are going to say that...
And I'm trying to finish my mixtape, too. Like, come on.
Criticize Bernie for anything and blah, 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 blah. And I think this is dumb. Don't idolize the man. He's a politician, and he's made mistakes. For example, he's a protectionist. Or at least he has been in the past, which I think is cringe and blue-pilled. I was fine criticizing him for that before. I'll still do it if I want to. I'll do it for funsies. Should be okay to criticize him.
There's a time and place for a little radicalism. I agree with that. Be radical on the outside. Try to get people's hearts on your side. Say I'm fighting for you. Then when you get on the inside, you got to be a little bit smarter. I definitely think it's good to have radical people pushing in a certain direction that are going to shake things up at least a little bit. All of history has had those. Somebody who serves as a moral compass. I don't think everybody should be like a really toned down politician. Even if I think sometimes the more populist ones are dangerous, or depending on who they are, of course. I think you need to wield populist rhetoric very responsibly if you're going to be using it in a way that's going to be building policy or something. Even if I think that to be true, I think they are useful. So somebody like Nina Turner, who a lot of like centrists, more moderate Democrats won't like, non-leftist Democrats won't like. I think having that nagging on the outside, I think it's useful. I don't know.
Altogether, I find it a little bit harrowing because I don't really know who's going to follow up, you know? I don't know who's going to come next. AOC, Ilhan the Squad, whatever, Rashida Tlaib, they're politicians.
Vosh's criticisms of Bernie's protectionism. I think Vosh gets that take from Destiny largely. He has that take where it's like we need to be a global economy. We need to make sure we use comparative advantage in these trade deals, and we maximize our GDP out. It's hard. I don't think protectionism is feasible at all. Would I mind a policy that said like if we had a global policy that held countries to higher standards, I think that'd be different. So, for example, if we want to maintain labor rights across the world, maybe every country maybe we could have like a global union that says, hey, if you have lower than this baseline of labor rights, we're not going to buy from you. If China keeps on using slave labor, we're not going to trade with you. Or I don't know, something like that, some type of higher standard. I don't think protectionism works, though. I don't know why we want to keep all the coal jobs and everything and all the, I don't know.
Now, they're not activists. They can be aggressive politicians, but they're still limited by the confines of their job. My question is, what's going to be the next non-democratic politician left leadership in this country? There are some people who are saying it's going to be the likes of Jimmy Dore. I really hope they're wrong. There are people in chat who are saying it's going to be me, and these people are very flattering. Thank you. In reality, it's probably not going to be a YouTuber. It's probably not what's going to happen. Only time can tell.
No
But I
matter
do-
what, we're heading towards a future where automation is inevitable. I think my main concern is making sure people still input their power or their influence into democracy. If you think about what government does, government is a vehicle. And people fight for influence of this vehicle constantly. So there is a there is a fight between like people and corporate interests in a sense. People need to make sure they're pressuring government constantly so that the government doesn't work completely in the wrong direction of the people. And as we move on to an age of automation and UBI, there needs to be good mechanisms in place that can distribute wealth and make sure people can have decent livelihoods. But I don't think that's going to happen correctly if people lose faith in government and stop trying to influence it with their input and their vote. If people lose confidence in government, they're basically giving up their only tool to change things. Working as a collective is the only way in which regular people can change anything. The libertarian argument that we can just boycott companies doesn't work. It doesn't work. We need the government to be our collective interests mobilizer or whatever, or nothing else is going to be able to be achieved as far as human advancement goes.
Do hope Nina's a good shot. Nina is a good shot. But I do hope, whoever it is, that they are intelligent in balancing antagonism against the Democratic Party with reasonable capitulation. Because please remember, and the people who can't acknowledge this are brain dead, mindless anti-democratic activism does not pull liberals over to the left. It just doesn't do it. Bernie Sanders was more successful in moving people over to the left than basically anybody, and he was remarkably even-tempered with the Democratic Party. If he had been very, very aggressive, you're just a dirty establishment shill, and by the way, they all are, so he would have been correct if he said that. But
yeah, I think Vosh, it's funny. I think a lot of socialists online are liberals. I mean, I think you should have your like moral position, I guess, and you should have your pragmatic, realistic position in the real world. Like, if you're not gonna be literally advocating for communism, why are you calling yourself a communist or a socialist? Like, if you're advocating for a slightly increased welfare state, you're not a socialist. That's your like moral backing. You're morally a socialist. You believe in those moral principles, but you're never gonna do that in real life. And if you do, you're just gonna be politically irrelevant. In much of the country. Our toxic idea of capitalism says no. I'm not a capitalist or a socialist. I think every socialist should call themselves a capitalist. I like that strategy. All you guys can infiltrate. You have to make sure you like read Elon Musk and stuff like that. All the great philosophers, so you can fit in with all the tech bros and entrepreneur types. You watching a who thinks the Nordic model is socialist? It's a bigger welfare state. But some people literally do think socialism means more government intervention, because I saw somebody call FDR a socialist. Vosh lied about what? I should change the title. BRIE Joy. BRIE Joy. Gray bad. KULINSKI bad. Already existing socialism for the Nordic countries? Weird. I changed the title to BRIE Joy Gray bad, KULINSKI bad. I'm getting off soon. I'm gonna plan to stream longer. I should start earlier. I should. Do like a 4-hour long one. It's too late right now. Get some viewers in here. Rack them up over the hours, you know. Thank you all for hanging out. Is Bernie being way too kind to Biden? No.
if he had said that, he would have ostracized and alienated. The media would have been more unfavorable towards him, and he probably would have ended up pushing away hundreds of thousands of people who, in our better timeline, came to love him. It is important, all right? It's not easy, but it's important. He never even attacked anyone other than right-wingers. He barely even attacked right-wingers. You see Bernie Sanders talk about the Republican Party? It's that it doesn't even really attack them. They were not providing for the American people. Like, it's all like, it's so principled, you know? It's not, he doesn't really attack them so much as scold them, you know? It's a workable strategy. This, maybe a little bit too conciliatory. But generally, I think it works, and it has its place. Some people should do that. Some people should be more aggressive. Diversity of tactics, etc., okay? Just whatever you do, there is a most incorrect answer to this, you know? There is like, there is a response to this, which is the objectively worst one, and it's this one. Jesus Christ, I wasted so much money on that man. That right there is the objectively incorrect, like, response to this.
Yeah.
For so many reasons. For so many reasons. That's not what you want. It's the wrong... Shoot, I'm really sorry.
I know I'm a loser, Neo Rip Shaft. I hope that wasn't Neo Rip Shaft. Interesting. Decent number of viewers given my irregular stream schedule. I don't even know if I have a channel. I don't even know what this is.
Shoot, that's not true. Bernie Sanders' media coverage was generally positive. There were sometimes like very silly attacks on him by the media, but he was not holistically portrayed as an angry old man. His level-headedness did pay dividends in terms of how he was received by the media. What, Vosh? You're so wrong.
And if Bernie Sanders would have came out and literally, and if he would have played into the stereotype of being like a mad old person, if Bernie Sanders would have played into what the media sort of portrayed him as, it would have even went worse for him. If he would have I can't talk. I'm getting tired. Bernie, if he actually acted mean when the media called him mean, it would have worked better. If Bernie is very popular, the media has no choice but to respect him and to give him some airtime. But if Bernie Sanders would have went the Nina Turner route the entire time, where you call everybody that needs to be your political ally at some point poopy, that will not work. Politics is frustrating. It doesn't always make sense to you. What you like isn't going to be what other people like. Stop assuming you are the center of the world. There are other people on this planet. And I'm going to bed. I'm going to pass out, actually. I'm tired. Thank you all for hanging out. I'll leave the stream up so people can watch the other segment. I'm going to make it unlisted, so if you're watching right now, it'll stay up. But I want to make sure people come for when I put it up tomorrow as a video, so some people watch it then. But anyway, have a good night, everybody. Spencer. Yeah, I'm tired. Sleep. Yeah, thanks, Brian. Hank. Good night. Rapid Thunder. Trees. Ranch. Black paint. Spencer, I made you a moderator. I don't know if you noticed. Made you a moderator. Here's the yeah, everybody sleep well as well. Thank you. Here's the Discord link for anybody who's not in there yet. I feel like every 6 months this channel moves again. Like, it's kind of funny. If you look at my subscriber growth, and I gotta move into school soon. I always have a good I have a good streak, and then I need to do something else where I can't put videos up. But here's Discord. Thank you for joining Discord. Yo, thanks. I'm gonna start doing this more before I go back to school. I have about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The Vosh I'm dying. The Charlie Kirk and Vosh debate on Tim Pool. I'm gonna do a watch party for that so I could farm views and clicks and stuff. So come around for that and hang out. Don't watch all the bigger losers that are gonna be using it for content. They don't deserve it. I don't deserve it either, but please be there. All right, goodbye. Good night.